In the early morning hours of January 12, 2020, a man was found lying on a quiet rural road in Jay County, Indiana. He was alive, barely, but unable to speak. What first responders didn't know was that this was not a random act of violence. It was the final chapter of a family conflict that had been building for months. The man was 31-year-old Shay Breyer. Shay was a father. He shared a young daughter with his former fiancée, Esther Jane Stephen, known as EJ. Their relationship had ended, but one thing had not: the responsibility they shared as parents. Shay had recently filed a petition in court to establish formal parenting time. He wanted to be present in his daughter's life, to provide for her, and to see her regularly. For many families, custody disagreements are handled in courtrooms. In this case, the conflict did not stay there. EJ Stephen was a local high school softball coach. By all outward appearances, she was respected in the community. Often accompanying her was her assistant coach, 19-year-old Shelby Highstand. According to Christy Sibre, a former police officer and acquaintance, EJ frequently visited her home and spoke openly about her frustrations. The core issue, Sibre would later say, was control. She didn't want to share the baby. That was her baby. Over time, the conversations reportedly became more disturbing. What began as complaints turned into discussions about removing Shay from the picture entirely. At one point, Sibre said EJ and Shelby claimed they had put crushed pills into Shay's drink. Nothing happened, and Sibre, like many people in hindsight, did not believe it was serious. When people speak about extreme thoughts, we often dismiss them as frustration. This case would later raise the question: when does venting become a warning sign? On January 12, 2020, Shay Breyer was taken to a rural road in Jay County. What happened next would only become clear after arrests were made. According to investigators, Shelby Highstand shot Shay in the back. The bullet entered his heart. There was no exit wound. Shay Breyer died shortly after arriving at the hospital. Within days, investigators questioned both women. Initially, both denied involvement. Later, both admitted they had been present. Shelby said she blacked out before firing the weapon. EJ would later place full responsibility on Shelby. Both were charged with murder. Both pleaded not guilty. At trial, EJ testified she had no reason to want Shay dead. She described the earlier pill incident as an innocent chemistry experiment. For jurors, the question was not just who pulled the trigger, but who set events in motion. This case was not about strangers. It was about parents, about control, and about what happens when legal disputes are handled emotionally rather than responsibly. A child lost her father. Families were permanently altered, and a conflict that should have remained in court ended on a dark rural road. The lesson is not simple, but it is clear. Unresolved anger combined with influence over others can have irreversible consequences. If you were on that jury, where would responsibility fall? On the person who fired the weapon, or the person who helped shape the decision? Let us know your thoughts below. This was a real case from January 12, 2020. Thank you for watching.